Hi, I'm Bryan Painter, columnist of the Oklahoman, and joined by Carla, Hinton, religion editor of the Oklahoman. And today we're going to talk about the special exhibit at the Oklahoma City National Memorial Museum. It's called Reporting Terrorism. A little background, in 1995, Carla and I were assigned, we were two of the three reporters assigned to just covering victims of the bombing. And for about 3 months, that was all we did. That was our primary focus. We talked to families and then we talked to survivors. And the other day, we got a kind of sneak preview of this exhibit. And I was there and Carla was there. And I just kind of wanted to visit with her about, her impressions. And Carla, when you went through the exhibit, what was the thing that stood out most to you?
Well, what I thought was interesting, there were quotes from national journalists and then also local journalists about the perceptions that we had, the perceptions that they had, and I thought that it was interesting that we all had similar comments to make, considering the fact that we all had very diverse journalism backgrounds. And then the other thing that amazed me were the questions that were posed at each exhibit. Some of the questions were, can a journalist become embedded in the story? Can they become part of the story? And that was certainly a question that we dealt with over and over, because this was our community.
Right.
We were part of the community, and we were all devastated. So those were two things that stood out to me.
I've told people, when you talk about that, we had an address, not a plane ticket. I mean, and as Ed Kelly has said before, while others came and went, we were still going to be here.
That's
and
right.
So, like you said, it was our community.
Right.
And that's why I think, we felt so much a part of it.
Right.
Not just reporting it. But something you and I talked about the other day is, I said I'd seen this cover I don't know how many times, and the front page the day after, and but I never paid attention until I went to a special exhibit the other day to the prayer for today, and
Right.
As you know, we run that every day.
Right.
I came back and I asked Ed Kelly and Joe Height and Mike Shannon and some others, was this prayer intentionally put on this page? And no one seemed to thought that it was. It was just a prayer that was for that day, and I'll read it, and I'd like your opinion about it.
Okay.
When life gets weary, Lord, remind us to count our many blessings you give us every day. Thank you for helping to ease our fears or heartaches. Amen. Tell me your thoughts about that. It finishes with ease our fears or heartaches, and tell me your thoughts about that prayer.
Well, I thought it couldn't have been more appropriate, because the thing about this particular paper, this was April 20th, that was just the beginning. And none of us had any idea what was coming next, that there wouldn't be as many survivors as they thought, that there would actually be the amount of deaths that there were. This was just the beginning, and so this was something that, a prayer certainly that people were going to identify with in the days and weeks to come.
A lot of times a story is a part of our life, but would you agree that this story became something that shaped our lives?
Yes, I do. I do. Definitely, I do. It was a defining moment, I'm sure, for a lot of us, in a lot of different ways. I think in terms of our own individual experience, and in terms of our family, and how we looked at our family, the people away from here. Because, you know, a lot of those people were down at the Murrow building. They just happened to be there doing business, and then they never came back. They left their families that day. And so for me, I know that really was a defining moment for me, and the way I shape my priorities, but also as a journalist too, you know, and how we deal with victims, and the newsroom even, you know, I think it was a defining moment for us as well.
Right, because there was that bond, and you know, I've said before, and I think you'd agree, that I think it was the closeness that we had from the good days that really helped us in those tough days.
Yes.
And, you know, but I also want to say that, and I think Carla would agree 100%, that even though we went through this, it was nothing compared to what the victims were going through. Definitely. Or their families. And we always kept that in perspective. Yes. That, you know, I always told families, and I know you did too, that I've never been through this. And, you know, I was honest in saying I hope I never do go through it, and they agreed. They never took that wrong.
Right.
And but it was something that really did, I feel, shape, you know, my life. And I really appreciate you taking the time to join me today.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.